Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 223rd episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. At this point, it's been nearly 200 uploads since I first discussed the roots, so to be completely honest with all you Godbinos and Godbinas out there, I don't even necessarily remember everything that I said on my Things Fall Apart review, but I'll still link it down below since I doubt my feelings on that masterpiece have altered that much since a year ago. However, while I've taken a pretty long hiatus from covering the legendary Philadelphia band to give some other artists a chance to shine, it really has nothing to do with the lack of quality output, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, you can make a very strong argument that the Roots are the single most consistent act that hip hop has to offer, and I'll kind of break down why I feel this way. When it comes to long-spanning rap careers, of course you have people like Kool Keith, who got his start back in the 80s with Ultramagnetic MCs, and he's still going strong to this day, with there really being no gap of time throughout the last 35 years where Kool Keith wasn't frequently releasing music. It's a similar case with someone like Too Short, who of course got his start a little bit earlier than Keith, but while they've been consistently dropping singles and albums throughout their lengthy careers, they, like most artists, have certain low points in their respective discographies, at least when compared to their highest moments. The enigmatic and insanely commendable thing about Questlove, Black Thought, and Company is while it's been nearly a decade since they've released an LP as The Roots, they have a good dozen full-length studio LPs, not including the soundtracks they've done, that in my opinion range anywhere from pretty good to absolutely amazing. I think a big part of why these guys have managed to achieve this type of high-quality consistency across so many years is they never at any point have allowed their sound or creativity to stagnate, and I truly believe it's that seemingly inherent need for new forms of inspiration that's helped keep this band so on the pulse of hip hop culture. I mean, even though the Roots aren't currently in their heyday of popularity and commercial viability, Black Thought has released a number of quality solo projects or collaborations with producers, both throughout the 2010s and even currently going into the 2020s. And while many of his contemporaries who first came out at the same time, or even later than him, struggle to find relevancy amongst the younger generation, somehow Black Thought has kind of managed to transcend that and still can get recognized by all ages as a greatest of all time contender. I think it's so dope that he's evolved and grown as an MC and person, yet never abandoned the style he came into the game with. He just refined and polished it to the point it became undeniable, which is probably why his 10-minute Funkmaster Flex freestyle went so viral. It's a pretty inspirational display of how you can be quote-unquote past your prime, where you're working with a style that isn't necessarily popular with the youth, yet you still end up impressing people of every generation because your passion and skill on the mic is so palpable, which is actually kind of relieving because for me at least, it makes me think that no matter what style or sound is trendy, there's always going to be a place for the true lyricists within hip hop that truly helped build this genre from the ground up. The Roots actually debuted back in 1993 with Organics, but their true golden period of releases for me stretches from 1995 when they dropped Do You Want More, all the way up to at least 2004 with The Tipping Point, which I know isn't everyone's favorite Roots album, but I still heavily enjoy it. Honestly, you could probably stretch it even further than that, because there's a few later 2000s LPs that I feel sometimes kind of get lost in the mix, be it 2006's Game Theory, 2008's Rising Down, or even 2010's How I Got Over. Of course, they released Undone the following year, but I remember that album getting a pretty fair amount of praise and attention. However, while 1999 is where the Roots arguably hit their creative and artistic peak, personally my second favorite album by them has always been 1996's Illadelph Halflife, While they haven't collaborated too many times, Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest has amazing chemistry with Black Thought on the song they share here, and their back and forth is definitely one of my favorite moments on the entire album. Of course, live instrumentation has always been a massive part of this band's identity, but an interesting aspect about their third album here is they began to incorporate a bit more drum programming and sampling into the music, which made them a bit more palatable to the average New York boom bap fan, while still keeping that jazzy and soulful energy that they initially built their name and core fan base off of. The rapping on here is just immaculate, and pretty much every single beat is layered with infectious loops and smooth drum sounds, which outside of the Roots members themselves is handled partially by the Ummah, a production collective comprised of Q-Tip and Ali Shaheed Muhammad of A Tribe Called Quest, as well as Jay Dilla, D'Angelo, and Raphael Sadiq. They aren't the only ones though, as the instrumentals are also given an assist by names like the Grand Niggas, Hilo, Scratch, Chaos, LAJ, Slim Kid 3 of Farside, and Scott Storch. For the features on this thing outside of the abstract, we get a number of guest appearances including Dice Raw, Bahamadia, Raphael Sadiq, D'Angelo, Joshua Redman, Cassandra Wilson, Ursula Rucker, and Common. For my honorable mentions on this thing, I narrowed my picks down to Section, It Just Don't Stop, Panic, Episodes, No Alibi, What They Do, The Hypnotic, No Great Pretender, Universe at War, Push Up Your Lighter, and Concerto of the Desperado. When it comes down to my top 3 favorite songs overall, I chose to go with Respawn/React, Clones, and Ital or the Universal side. Thank you for watching my 223rd video. Next up, we actually have another act that I covered in my initial 10 uploads. So tune in for that one, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite tracks are off this top tier 90s LP. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.
Look, the key to my soul is locked in the cage it opens. The framework was made from my own rib cue. What came first, the crack or the crack lighter? Whichever one the first fiend used to bring back